My name is Ally Iseminger.
What do you do?
I am a filmmaker, photographer, creative director, and model. I started doing it as a hobby when I was 14. I had an Etsy shop and I was trying to do my own product photography. I love running a business. I have a magazine that I run right now. EZEP started in 2019, so it's been 6 years now. It is a indie music-based magazine that I started with my friends. It started as a way of giving young creatives an into journalism, the music industry. Our mission is to find people who are hungry and have even a little bit of a portfolio and send assignments to shows, to interview artists, to write concert reviews. And then from there, we help them build their portfolio and get their foot in the door in the industry. I was very, very passionate about music. I think music, especially at that point in my life when I was 19, music was my favorite thing in the whole world, and I felt like I was building so much knowledge around it, and I wanted to share that and be able to help other people meet their dreams by doing that. It's been really, really cool, and the greatest thing ever is when I'm able to help other people make friends in the industry. That's kind of the best feeling in the world, is seeing the people that I've sent on assignments to shows, knowing that they would kind of get along with these artists, and seeing it actually come true is like the best feeling ever. So hopefully EZEP is forever. On top of that, I love film photography. It's my favorite thing to do in the world. I love repairing cameras. I got really into collecting vintage film cameras for a while, and so I have a huge collection of those.
Do you remember your first photo shoot?
Yes, I think it was back in 2016. Me and my cousin Blake went out on a day. It was 106 degrees, and we walked around this abandoned parking lot, as teenagers do, and we did a photo shoot there. That day was really, really fun. The cops ended up getting called on us, and we ran, and that was one of the few times in my life that I felt like an outlaw. It was great to experiment with like editing and familiarizing myself with that form of photography. My first video shoot was actually for a church. I had school off that day. I don't know how I worked this out with my school, but I was able to get the day off so that I could go work. And so I did this video shoot for a church. I submitted it to them, and then they actually never paid me. I followed up with them about 4 times, and I learned the lesson of hard work and staying on people that day. So at that time, I knew that I wanted to do something creative with my time, especially thinking about college and what I was going to major in. I knew that I wanted to do something within the world of film. I was really interested in specifically the history of the film industry, just the whole history and the production behind it all. I knew that I wanted to go and get a film degree. My senior year of high school, I submitted a short film to state conference, and I won best in state for my short film. And that kind of solidified my interest in pursuing it further. But I also wanted to pair it with something a little bit more businessy, and so I did a dual degree of film and television production and then marketing as well. Those two paired together, I kind of felt like I was able to kind of find a sweet spot of something practical but also still fun and creative. And I knew that I didn't want to go into specifically the film industry. I knew that I didn't want to live in LA. And so I wanted to come back and live in Chicago, which was my dream. And so it's great that I got to achieve that and live here. Being able to do film and photography projects freelance has been extremely fulfilling, and I feel very grateful for everything that I've been able to do. A lot of the stuff that I learned, I did teach myself, especially when it comes to film photography, which is the number one thing that I'm doing right now. I think that a lot of it I did teach myself, but maybe there's like fundamentals that subconsciously I don't even realize that I learned through classes. I think the biggest thing about going to college and like being in that environment was learning how to network. I think that was a really valuable thing that I learned. I like to think that I still have a lot of success coming my way. I feel like I am destined for a level of greatness and that I have big things coming. I just can feel it. Everything that I do is a stepping stone, and I hope that hard work does pay off. And so I'm hoping that 10 years from now, I'll look back at specifically this moment, this age, and think, wow, it's only just beginning. I feel like I've always had the same goal of figuring out how to stay afloat, feel successful, but also staying creative. I feel like since I've been like 17. I think that's always been the goal. I feel very flexible with what that means to me. I feel like I'm able to kind of fix that into whatever my plans are. Currently, like being freelance and doing photography and videography is the most fulfilling thing. I think that if I could go back in time, I think I'd be very proud of myself for making that happen. When I first started, I was strictly digital. I didn't really know anything about film photography. I loved the look of film photography without even knowing what it was. Whenever I'd see a photographer that shot strictly on film, it was always like, that's my favorite. Doing the switch, maybe like 3 years ago from digital to film was really fun and fulfilling. And so I think that's kind of my biggest change. I do 35 millimeter film. I do 120 millimeter film. I've done a little bit of Super 8. My favorite is definitely shooting 120 medium format film. It's something that I just started about a year ago. It is just like so amazing. It's the best, most crisp photo you can possibly take. It is mind-blowing. Every time I get my film back, I'm amazed. So for 35 millimeter, I have a Minolta X700. For 120 millimeter, I have a Mamiya RB67. And then for Super 8, I had a Canon Canon 315 XL, I think. And then that broke, so I bought a cheaper one. I'm looking to reinvest and get a new Super 8, so hopefully that's something that I work on. Something that I really want to get into this year is I actually want to experiment with tintype photography. And so I've been doing some research into that and seeing, how I can get into that. With film, it can be very hard to shoot outdoors, especially in Chicago. It's very important to have good lighting, always. Most film is between 100 ISO to about 800, and so you're very limited in that regard. Definitely my biggest obstacle is lighting with film. It's very unforgiving. If you don't have light, you just can't shoot. With digital, you're able to obviously work around that. A lot of systems now have AI and all these different ways of like reducing grain. But film, you get one shot, and it costs a lot of money, so you have to make it work. About a year or two ago, I saw that Joji was going on tour again, and I had shot him previously at the Aragon. I applied to shoot. I got accepted. I had a whole contract that I had to sign, and inside of the contract, it said that Joji himself approved all photos, and so we had to wait to post until we got approval. And so I was very, very excited. I showed up at the United Center, which was the biggest venue that I had ever shot at, and I had to wait in the underground tunnels. They had a whole security team that I had to go out with, and as I walked out to the photo pit, I realized I was the only photographer that they approved for the Chicago date, and I was very, very excited. So that was a huge honor. I was really excited about that. And then when I submitted my photos to the team, every photo that I submitted got approved, which was awesome. So that's something that it felt very affirming, that experience. So that kind of stands out as one of my proudest shoots. I am heavily influenced. I love Linda McCartney. She was Paul McCartney's wife. She was a photographer before she met Paul. She was the first woman photographer to shoot the cover of Rolling Stone. They had a North American retrospective for her first ever in Tucson, Arizona 2 years ago, and I flew out there for it. She's amazing. I could talk about her forever. I think that being self-taught has given me my own principles and understanding of photography, and so I feel like I've learned it in my own way. I think that there's certain things that I do that go against a lot of theory and principles, and I don't intend to change that. I feel like I've found my uniqueness by just trial and error, and I would recommend that to anyone.
Is there a dream project that you aspire to create someday?
I'm hoping to create my first photo book. I want to brainstorm a whole photo project that then I can turn into a coffee book. And that's something that I really want to focus on specifically this year. I think that's kind of my dream project right now.
Will that be associated with Ease Up? Will that be your own?
It's going to be my own thing.
Or do you see yourself like it?
That is a good question. I have some exciting job prospects right now that I don't want to talk about, but hopefully those can come true. In 5 years, I'd like to think that I'm still doing creative projects, no matter if it's hobby-based or is, my full-time job. I just hope that no matter what, I'm always staying creative and doing things and talking about it and working with other creatives to create things. I think that, networking with other people who do photography and videography is the greatest thing, and I hope that I never fall out of that circuit.
So as a creative, what is some advice that you would give to your younger self?
I would say that networking is very, very important. I think never make an enemy if you can. I would say any experience is good experience. Reach out to people you know. Don't be afraid to ask for help from other people. Your network is your net worth, so keep that in mind.